Okay, my friends. So, the purpose behind this video is to, one, show you that I was also a beginner, that everyone was a beginner, and that after 3 years, big things can happen, right? Because I'm a true believer that really nothing at all in this course or anything that you do online will trump self-belief. You have to be able to believe that you can reach a specific point in order to get to that point. Now, one big thing that I also want to touch on that I mentioned a bit earlier was the metric of, does your profile look like it deserves 100,000 followers, right? When you look at 100,000 follower accounts, does your account look like that? And if the answer is no, then you have to try to iterate, right? So let's take a look at the first things of my account. So the very first iteration, this is what I had to maybe until the next one. So this was my profile picture. It's not the best, right? But my thought process was behind it was I like uh, these colors. This was actually my business card at one time for web design, freelancing, self development. But let's go through the thought process a bit. So I had my name, Dan Coe. I had a cool background image. I had already been a designer, so this header came kind of naturally to me. And I had designed it many times and just had fun with it, building out a project. But it's my name. I talk about web design, freelancing, and self development. I had a picture that definitely isn't the best, and I outlined myself with the intention of trying to catch attention, right? Because I would say that color and just this in general would have people clicking on my profile to see more. That was my thought process behind it. And then my bio at the time was, I help self starters build a cash flow business and create wealth with the simple to learn skill of web design. Um, it's a decent bio. It worked for a bit and it attracted the audience that I was trying to sell to at the time because, um, as I talked about before, is when it comes time to either sell something or when you're trying to establish authority in one of your interest areas, that's when you can start to formulate your profile around that and start to educate people on that. Because even at this point, I wasn't only talking about web design. I was talking about web design here and there, right? And business stuff here and there. I was still mostly talking about self improvement stuff. And that goes to show that your bio, it works. It just has to be professional to extent and show what you talk about or something that you talk about because people understand. It's like, take a step back and think about the personal brands that you follow. Do you care if they go off subject occasionally, or does it help you build a deeper connection with them, right? If you're following someone that talks about email marketing, do you care if they post a picture of their family and break out, or do you care if they talk about something else like spirituality or self-improvement and not only stick to the email marketing script all the time? No, you don't care at all. But people start to know you for who you are, and you can start to build lead magnets, newsletters, and ebooks or anything around what your main expertise is or you want it to be, so you can start to establish authority in that place. So when you're just starting out, I would recommend you don't have to make your bio all about your expertise. It can follow any other bio that we have talked about previously, but I would recommend establishing authority by making your authority much of your content and putting an emphasis on educating people to the point of where you are, right? So that's what I was doing here. And then I had my ebook here. So I made some sales here and there from my bio. It says newsletter and I point. So I'm kind of directing attention. Another thing to keep in mind with a profile is the following to follower ratio, right? This is social proof. If you have more following than you do followers, then people are less likely to follow you just because it looks bad. It's there's no social proof there, and people don't see you as someone who is putting out a lot of value and has a lot of followers, meaning that you put out a lot of value. So this was my first iteration. And then my next iteration was this. So it's getting a bit better. I made this a bit more broad, right? This is when I realized, oh, I can talk about anything and still talk about my area of expertise and like sell my products. It doesn't matter at that point. So I can't even push the back button. I had the previous one up until, I guess, around 5,000 followers, right? So that goes to show that you can grow. Was my growth optimal? No. Was it effective? Yes. So that's the main thing. And one other thing I want to bring up here, because all of this is like ambiguous and there's so many different nuances that can go into it, and it'll be impossible to just cover it in one course in one fell swoop, and it's completely dependent on your specific profile. But my name, right? My full name is Daniel Koenigslieb. That is not brandable. I don't like, people will not be able to recognize that. Dan Co is a pseudonym, right? It's memorable. People can it's brandable in a sense. So that's one thing you need to take into account is if your name is super long, can you shorten it to something that is a bit more brandable, or just rename yourself? Like it's online. You're creating a character at this point. You don't have to. It's not like people are going to hire me because they aren't going to hire me because they don't know my name is Daniel Koenigslieb. And either way, I'll just tell them what it is and laugh at it because it's a good story, and they'll agree with me that my last name isn't brandable. So the bio got a little, I mean, the header got a little bit of an upgrade. I broadened my niche a bit to money, mindset, and health. Those were my main interests, and my expertise or main interest was in web design. That's what I could help people with. And it was positioned to a very beginner level audience where I'm not necessarily trying to land clients here, even though I was taking on clients. I'm educating people on the skill that I learned, right? I'm not trying to land clients straight from here. I'm trying to educate people to the point of becoming clients for me. There's a big difference there. And so let's look at the bio. I help you thrive where you need it most: money, mindset, and health. It's good, I guess. I didn't, I don't know. I thought it was the best bio in the world back then, but now it's like, I'd rather just go more simple. But it's just, again, goes to show that it doesn't matter too much. Get the first iteration out there. You can change it whenever you feel like it. And so at this point, I had 2 free ebooks. I had one that was called like the Internet Profit Starter Pack, which was pretty much just marketing and general web design stuff. The other one was a web design course, I believe, like a free web design course. It was just 4 videos, like how to set up a website and build it. Got a lot of email subscribers from that. But yeah, it looks pretty simple. I took this picture. Isn't the best picture, but I put a ring around it to kind of show my brand colors. I made it black and white. You can start to see the black and white come into play here. And then the next one is when things started to pick up. This looks a lot more clean for me. I liked it a lot more. It had the buildings, so I'm giving off like a city vibe, but kind of also like creative and moody and kind of philosophical tones. You know what I mean? And then I had this here, which also kind of gives off like a statue vibe, where it's like a like kind of like a philosopher in a sense, where I'm trying to give off that like deep and impactful tone or make connections in people's heads. And then my bio at this point, giving you the keys to expand your mind and wallet. Power Planner waitlist. This is when I was starting to launch the physical planner. And so that's the thing. At this point, when I decided to switch interests or start to sell something else, that's when I started educating people to the point of wanting to be able to buy this, right? So at this point, I was kind of talking about web design. I was kind of talking about business. I was talking kind of about mindset, but I was mostly talking about the things that revolved around the Power Planner. So that's like focus, vision, goals, priorities, some psychology. All of the things that branch off of that is what I was consuming and talking about and researching on YouTube, Medium, and books, social media accounts, other things like that. And then the same thing, free downloads with an arrow to a nice looking bio that let people download my products. And at this point, I was at 10,000 followers. So the next one, big jump. I remember this. I started writing my book, The Art of Focus. And this is the point where like I realized like, okay, yeah, this is my life's work. And as I keep talking about outlining things and starting to fill them in, or at least develop the ideas by writing about them, that's with this. I outlined this book. I started creating newsletters. I started creating content around everything that I put inside the book. And now with the book, we'll talk about this later when it comes to content creation, but with the book, I was pretty much pulling the big ideas from all of the previous books that changed my life And I put those as certain chapters in the book in the way that they made sense to me. And so now I have a lot of big and validated ideas that were outlined in the book, or even in your case, a lead magnet or an ebook, that allowed me and gave me content ideas that I could focus in on and start to create around and develop those ideas more and start to have better and better and better ideas. And so at this point, I don't really like this, but small investments of focus, one person businesses, and lifestyle design. So what I talk about, one person businesses and lifestyle design. As the founder and host of Modern Mastery. So this added some authority at this point because I had started something, right? And the Modern Mastery account, that's the thing here, is like, when you say you're building something, or you're the founder of something, or you're the host of a podcast or something, you can create an account around it, and that adds authority in itself because it shows you're building something, right? And I had a link to the community, enjoy, links again. And at this point, I tried going anonymous. It just sounded like a cool idea at the time, but yeah, I switched back pretty soon, right? And so then I went through that. I had a good amount of followers at this point and was growing good, and then eventually decided to take a new profile picture and kind of change it, right? And you can see that it's black and white now, but I set up a camera in my room. I had natural lighting. I had my buddy come and take a picture with my phone where I'm just standing like this looking off. And so I had good lighting, and then I am good at Photoshop editing, so I was able to edit it. But like, you can take the time and learn these things yourself, right? Believe in yourself that you can actually learn these things and create a compelling brand that you're going to be working on for your entire life, right? If this is truly your life's work, then I would recommend becoming an avid learner in the things that will increase the perceived value of your brand. And so I switched back and kind of made this tweet where it's like, there's nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged to find the ways in which you yourself have altered. I thought that was pretty powerful. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And now we are here, right? So it's just a process of iteration over time and starting to create these different things. Okay. And now one tip, right? I mentioned downloading the Twemex app because we'll talk about idea generation in a bit, but the Twemex app that you go to twemex.app and you download and install, this will show you all of the top tweets. And like, let's go to like Sahil, for example, or any of your tribe of mentors, right? And now you can come here and you can look at this. It had a lot of engagement, so you know this is a validated idea. You can come here for idea generation and start to look. So the brakes paradox. What allows a Formula One driver to fly around the track? It's not the engine, the tires, or the suspension. It's the brakes. Strong, reliable brakes unlock the driver. Build brakes into your life that allow you to accelerate and hit turns without fear. So start studying these because he's very good at including, like, these are tweets in themselves. He could post these as tweets in themselves, right? It just makes sense. So he has curiosity and more, leading people down the page, spacing apart the sentences, making sure they're short, concise, to the point, and leading them to some form of actionable value that they can take and apply to their life, right? So you can go through these and you can start to generate content ideas with Twemex, and you can also search for this. So on Sahil's page, when you're there, it shows user, and you can search for stuff. So let's say you're interested in psychology. And yeah, you can read through all of his tweets on psychology and see what worked, what didn't. And I would recommend you play around with this and start to write down some content ideas for when we start learning about how to create impactful content. So I hope you enjoyed that little journey down memory lane. I'm going to be incorporating these for a lot of different things of like my evolution and iteration throughout not only brand, but content and products, because I feel like it really helps, just to show that, like, with consistency and iteration, that's all, absolutely everything that you need in order to build all of this. So thank you for watching. I will see you in the next section on content.